Ryomen Sukuna versus Hajime Kashimo is finally here.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone?
And even after proving he's the strongest by defeating Satoru Gojo, Sukuna continues to get more and more powerful. Chapter 237 of Jujutsu Kaisen is finally out, and with it we have gotten two major reveals. Kashimo's godlike curse technique, and the king of curses Ryomen Sukuna regaining his original body. As most probably already knew, Kashimo's chances of winning against Sukuna was admittedly pretty low. But after chapter 237, it's pretty clear that whether it's from his curse technique or fully healed Sukuna, Kashimo, well, he's about to die. We thought that at the very least, Kashimo would come in and weaken an already weakened Sukuna. But after getting more insight to Kashimo's character, you start to realize that it doesn't really matter if Kashimo dies or not, because by fighting Sukuna, his goal will have been achieved. That goal being to be understood as the strongest. In the end, just like Gojo, Kashimo will be able to die without any regrets, effectively beating a sorcerer's curse, which is to die full of regrets. That's why Sukuna states that Kashimo and Gojo are greedy, and also why Kashimo asks Sukuna, did you earn the title of the strongest, or were you born as so? Because while he completely stole Geto's flow, just like Gojo and Sukuna, Kashimo knows exactly what it's like to not be understood as the strongest. That feeling of having no equals, and that feeling of having no weakness, and understanding that overwhelming strength comes with overwhelming solitude. But fear no more, because just like Gojo, Ryomen Sukuna will teach him what true strength is, which is what Reggie told Yuta in chapter 181. Absolute strength comes from those with an overwhelming sense of self and a complete disregard for others. So while Gojo and Kashimo may have an overwhelming sense of self, they do not have a complete disregard for others. We know this by the fact that Kashimo even waited for Gojo's fight in the first place. If he really wanted to, he could have easily gone to fight Sukuna during the month break between Gojo and Sukuna fight, but out of respect for Gojo, Kashimo waited, when realistically, he really didn't have to. Just like Gojo being caught off guard by Kenjaku using Geto's body. If Gojo had a disregard for others, the chances of Kenjaku using Geto's voice to trick Gojo is basically non-existent. Ryomen Sukuna is the only one with a complete disregard for others, and thus is the true embodiment of strength. So while Gojo and Kashimo are asking for a lot, the one to teach them true strength will be Sukuna, as he's really the only one who can do so. I mean, think about it like this. Remember when Kashimo stole Geto's flow and asked Sukuna if he earned the title of the strongest or if he was born with it? Well, while the former is probably true for all three in the grand scheme of things, we know for at least Kashimo and Gojo, the former is at least true a little bit, as Gojo is someone born into the Gojo clan with the 6 eyes, and Kashimo as someone born with incredibly powerful innate curse energy. As two beings blessed by Jujutsu, they spent their life worrying about what others think and trying to be understood. The same can't be said for Sukuna though. As someone born in the golden era of Jujutsu, Sukuna was an unwanted child. Not only that, but Sukuna could care less what others think of him. The only thing he cares for is power and Jujutsu. Even in chapter 217 in Sukuna's fight against Yorozu, Sukuna even states that to be defeated is no different than dying itself. Now, what this basically means is just that Sukuna is the only one who can teach Kashimo and Gojo the sheer solitude that comes with being the strongest. And so, Kashimo and Sukuna's battle finally begins. And believe it or not, even though Sukuna is weakened, has one arm, and low RCT output, Kashimo is still the underdog in this fight. However, as Kashimo unleashes his curse technique, Mythic Beast Amber, the fight that can once be considered even goes completely to Kashimo's favor. Mythic Beast Amber transformed Kashimo's body, rendering any phenomena that can be created by electricity into a deadly weapon in Kashimo's arsenal. As Kashimo starts speed blitzing Sukuna and forming breaths of electricity, the narrator gives us a more detailed explanation of Kashimo's curse technique. And to be completely honest, I'm starting to think that Gege believes Gege must think we're all Harvard graduates, because there's absolutely no way that he expects the average person to actually understand what this means. By forcefully activating his brain's electrical signals, Kashimo's agility is now in a league of its own. And those waves of electricity that Kashimo used earlier, well, using electromagnetic waves, they vaporize anything they touch. In other words, Kashimo's body surpasses the limits of mankind. And once Kashimo's curse technique ends, his body will crumble. Think about Killua's Nin ability combined with the 8 gates. For a limited time, Kashimo will show everyone while he's called the Thunder God. And that's exactly what he does. As Kashimo starts to overwhelm Sukuna, and Wait, do you hear boss music? Just as Kashimo was starting to get the upper hand on Sukuna, Sukuna plays yet another card. In order to nullify the disadvantages he had, beating up, low cursed energy, low output, etc., Sukuna completely bamboozles Kashimo by reincarnating into his original body, meaning that now Sukuna not only has his cursed tool, the Kamutoke, but he's also fully healed and potentially has his domain back. And look, I know people are going to be wondering how Sukuna can even do this, but the truth is, the answer has always been right in front of our faces. Due to how many characters worded things, we knew that Sukuna could always get his original body back, but there was always the assumption that there was a prerequisite, or rule if you want to say, that prevented him from being able to transform. Turned out that that wasn't the case. The narrator states that apart from reverse curse technique, Sukuna has a method in restoring his body, one he can only use a single time, and it's a method that Sukuna had intentionally been suspending this whole time, transforming through means of reincarnation. Now, for those of you a little confused, let me explain. Just as Hirozu used Sumiki's body to reincarnate, the same rules apply to Sukuna. The most likely explanation to this is that Sukuna kept Megami's body in order to use his curse technique and as insurance to Gojo's domain expansion, the Infinite Void. But now that Gojo's gone, he really doesn't even need the 10 shadows. Cleave and Dismantle alone is enough for the remaining cast. And to be completely honest, that's just assuming that Sukuna can't even use the 10 shadows. For all we know, Sukuna can still use both curse techniques, and if that is the case, Sukuna losing to conventional means will become unviable. And what I mean by this is that Sukuna with 2 curse techniques, while fully healed in his Hionera form, and even his special curse tool, without a huge power creep, I can't really see how anyone in the series can actually defeat him in battle. In fact, the only one I can actually see defeating Sukuna right now is Kashimo, who's essentially already pretty much destined to die. For now, the only thing we can pretty much do is put our trust in Yuji and hope that whatever plan he has is actually viable. And speaking of Yuji's plans, what about Megami? Because now that he's completely lost his body, the question then becomes, does that mean that he's officially lost his soul? And look, I'm gonna just say that I don't think that Megami is completely gone yet, and honestly, it's not like I have a concrete reason or anything, but this is what I will say. Remember how in chapter 213, we see that Sukuna was able to momentarily transform, tricking Hana and giving her what is by far the biggest fumble in the series? Well, it's just a small theory, but we know that in order to reincarnate, one must use a vessel to do so. And not only that, using a vessel's body to reincarnate doesn't necessarily kill the person that they took over. What they're doing is locking down the soul, which in turn gives the reincarnated sorcerer full control of the inhabiting body. So while the original owner of the body is technically dead, that's only true in the case that they won't get control of their body back. Their soul will continue to live. And look, this isn't just simply headcanon. Remember when Geto was able to take back a little bit of his control in Shibuya? That's because even after death, his soul continued to inhabit the body. And even though he would never get full control of his body back, the point is his soul was still there. Well, this is the exact concept that I'm talking about. While Sukuna might have transformed into his Hionera body, he still did so using Megami as a host. So using all the supporting evidence we have, I think it's clear that Gege is setting up Yuji and his final showdown with Sukuna at the end of the series. Yuji didn't get a soul technique for no reason, and soon we'll see him put it to use. And if Yuji can't pull it off, it's gonna be a very sad ending for Jujutsu Kaisen. Yo guys, if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say I appreciate you. And look, I'm guessing since you're at the end, you probably liked the video, so make sure you give it a like on your way out. And if you like these kind of analysis, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's a huge percentage of you guys that aren't subscribed, like 98% or something like that. When you support the channel, it not only makes my day, but it also lets my videos reach other viewers, which in the end just grows our community, so it's a win-win. I didn't talk about the Hikari versus Urame. I'll probably just save it for another video. I'm not gonna lie, the Kashimo versus Sukuna hype got to me, so I really just wanted to cover that a bit. But with that, I think that's all from me. You guys have a good day, or night, depending on where you are, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.